Good Sunday, everybody. I'm taking a quick little break from my writing, as I often do, to talk to you about actually two sales I got going on right now. You've probably heard me talk about the Targothian Trilogy a lot. And right now, all month long, because my birthday's in April, I've been doing a couple of sales on it. The ebook for the first book of the series is only $1 for Kindle, Nook, and Kobo, pretty much most of the ebook readers. And so I figured that's a good way to start off, to read the first book of the trilogy. You get it for only $1, then you hopefully want to get the other two. It's a sci-fi fantasy adventure spanning centuries, literally centuries. The main character, who I wrote him as an unnamed character, he eventually takes the name Sargus when he finds out that his ancestors came from the planet Targoth a long time ago, and they took some refugees to Earth. And that's where his family bloodline came from. He's told, okay, what happens is October 2nd, 1998, he gets taken back in time 500 years to another planet. He learns his family comes from the planet Targoth, which has long been gone. They tell him it's gone, it's destroyed. Destroyed by a madman named Qualdea. So after he finds that out, he goes through this ritual, becoming a Bactane warrior, a son of Michael, basically. He's imbued with the essence of the Archangel Michael, and he spends the next 10 years fighting for the Bactane against Lucifer's minions. But he finds out that they lied to him, Targoth is still there, and so he takes the name Sargus after his ancestor, and then he sets out to find the planet. Said for $1 on ebook, you can get the first book. And April's almost over, so, time's getting short. I'm also doing one where I have physical copies of all three of the trilogy that I'm selling for $25, including shipping for continental US. If you live outside of the country, I'm going to have to charge a little bit more for shipping because that stuff's expensive. But if you're in the continental US, all three books are only $25. And they'll be personally autographed by me to you. That's Sargus, Crimson Death, and The Circle Closes. And it's a trilogy I've had in my mind for a very long time. When I was about 7 years old, it would have been 1982, a very long time ago, I had a dream. I don't remember much about what happened in the dream, but I remember three things from it specifically. I remember the words Sargus and Targoth, and an image of the seal of Targoth, which you can see it really well here on his back. 1982 was a very long time ago, and I've had this in my mind for a long time. As I've gotten older, the story evolved and matured. I wasn't quite sure if I could put it to paper, but eventually I did. Originally, it was going to be a series of 9 novellas, but after I finished the 4th one, I depublished everything and decided to restructure it as a trilogy. So the first book is actually the original 3 novellas. And, the second is 4, 5, and 6, and the last one's 7, 8, and 9. It's told in the first person by the main character, Sargus, but it's told from the future, from now. So everything he's talking about has already happened. He does make mention that, I got a really great memory becoming a Bactane because you go through some changes physiologically and everything, and your mind opens up, so you basically have the ability to remember everything you've ever learned. For one example of their abilities, they can hear any language spoken for 10 minutes, about 10 minutes, and they become fluent in it. I said their mind opens up. And they have enhanced strength and reflexes, healing. You can chop off their hand and it'll grow back in about a day. You can still kill them, though. They're not invincible. And every once in a while, one of them develops a secondary power. It's very rare. Sargus develops pyrokinetics. At first, he can only kind of make a little flame appear in his hand, but over time, he's able to summon fireballs and make it rain fire from the sky. He doesn't always want to use it because, he's kind of cocky and, well, I'm one of the best swordsmen in the three galaxies, so I can do it. I don't need my powers all the time. In the three galaxies is Andromeda, Milky Way, and Triangulum. And how it goes in this book, the Society of the Elginian Empire, these three galaxies are their dominion. I mean, they don't have the entire group of the three galaxies, but just, some of them. Most of the territory. Lucifer's side has some of the other side of the galaxy, but they only travel within these three galaxies. And I have a lot of mini galaxies that are like around there, but as opposed to the billions of stars that one of our galaxies has, the smaller ones only have about 10,000 stars, much smaller galaxy. And I wrote it in there that they're uninhabitable for sentient life. So that way, that's kind of my out for not writing about what goes on in there, because you can't go in there anyway. Hold on. But it's a sci-fi fantasy. It's got elements of horror. I got vampires in it, but I give them a somewhat pseudo-scientific explanation on how they're created. But I'm not going to get into that right now, because you read the book, you'll find out some information about the vampire. But I'm working on a fourth book. It's not part of the trilogy, but it's part of the Targothian saga, called Allies and Enemies. All the supporting characters from these three books, I'm doing a short story book on their origins and what led them to the point of this trilogy where they meet the character. So they're doing their own thing. That's the bad guys and the good guys. So it kind of gives an explanation on why the bad guys turn bad. And how the Boxinae were created, and also how the Nosferatus, which the vampires, how they were created. I'll just give you a little hint. Atlantean scientists and genetic engineering gone awry. But anyway, that's the Targothian Trilogy, part of the saga, which is all part of the Yoakumverse. Because as you know, all of my books exist within the same reality. And I'm going to talk a little briefly here too, even though I have these books on sale, the Targothian Trilogy. I also don't want you to forget about my folklore series. The anthology series, each one focusing on a different creature or character from various mythologies around the world. The first book, Red Cap. And despite what people say, oh, you shouldn't write political book, this is not political, you chuckleheads. A red cap is a creature similar to a dwarf, and they kill travelers, and they soak their hats in the blood of their victims, and that keeps them alive. I didn't make that up. That's actually part of the mythology. Look it up. The second book, Baba Yaga, is about a very infamous Russian witch. That's one of my darker stories. It involves cannibalism of children, and it's not for the faint of heart, and I wouldn't recommend reading any of my books to children. I write for the grown folks out there who want something a little darker and, more twisted. The third book, Incubus. An incubus in my universe is a spirit that feeds off sleeping people, causing sleep paralysis. Modern day people say, oh, sleep paralysis is, blah, blah, blah. They give a scientific explanation for it, which I'm not saying isn't true. I have personally suffered from sleep paralysis, and I've converted some of my real experiences into this book from the point of view of fictional characters. But I've actually gone through it, and it is not something I would wish on anybody. It's very freaky. Whether or not it's just, in your mind, or if it's something outwardly attacking you, either way, it's friggin' scary at times. But anyway, the fourth and final book of my folklore series, Krampus. Good for reading any time of year, not just Christmas. I give a good explanation on where Krampus comes from, and it actually ties in, ironically enough, with the Targothian Trilogy. You'll have to read it to find out how it ties in. I'm not going to give spoilers right now. I haven't drank enough of this yet to give spoilers away. So anyway, to wrap it up, Targothian Trilogy, $25 for autographed copies. Continental U.S. only for free shipping. I'll have to charge more for shipping, like I said, if you're out of the country. Or if you just want to read the first book and you got a Kindle or a Nook or something, the first book is only $1 for Kindle, Nook, and Kobo for the rest of the month. I decided to do something for my birthday month, so that's why I got them on sale all month long. But if you're interested in the folklore series, I still got copies of this too. I mean, I'm willing to sell you a copy of this, all 4 books together for $30. And the same thing, free shipping for continental U.S. if you live outside the country. Like I said, I'm going to have to charge more. But anyway, I'm starting to ramble now, so I'm going to go ahead and let you go and get back to writing. And if anybody has any questions, you can always message me on Facebook. And from Facebook, you can find my website. There's a lot of ways to contact me. Facebook, email. You can find my email on my Facebook. People just don't want to actually click on your profile and look for this stuff. They just want to ask, just look for it. In this day and age, there's no excuse to say you don't know how to do something because we got online. Everything's online now. So anyway, any questions, comments, just let me know. But for now, it's time for me to get back to work. Be seeing you.